All right, everyone. Hello. Thanks for joining us on this first alert weather day. I'm meteorologist Elise Ushman here with meteorologist Anae Scales. You guys know her. She's usually here on the weekends, but as you know, it's first alert weather day. So we're getting a few extra hands on deck. Chief meteorologist Dave Roberts is here, but he's over in our weather center continuing to check on the forecast. So we're bringing you an update. How you feeling, Anae?
Well, ready. We're anticipating a lot of severe storms, but we be prepared, not scared. So we're here several hours in advance before storms are getting ready to fire off here in central Mississippi, and we are going to give you kind of the timeline that you can anticipate and what kind of impacts that we are looking for. But we're anticipating a lot of severe weather, but we know ahead of time. We're giving everyone the heads up so you can go ahead and know what your plan is going to be for when we start to see these storms.
Absolutely. We've been bringing you the first alert on this since last week. We're actually taking an early look at this system. We made it a first alert weather day Sunday night, and that was almost a week ahead of time. The Storm Prediction Center has had a risk out for us for most of the week now.
Mhm.
And they've updated it now on Friday. So essentially a day out, but it is technically the day 2 outlook. Relatively early to a level 5, a 5 out of 5, which is unusual. Well, it's not unusual, but it is rare. It's not very often we see that. So I want to point out here who's included in that. Half of Madison County, part of Atala County, Leake, Scott, Smith, Rankin, Simpson, and Jeff Davis counties as a whole, and part of Lawrence and Copiah counties. Now, even if you're under just the level 4 out of 5 risk, it's not that much of a difference. We're still expecting multiple tornadoes. Some of them will be strong. Severe weather impacts will be widespread, and there will also be damaging wind and large hail. So that's a lot to take in, but it's the same information that we've been bringing you all week long.
Yeah, it's just confidence has increased, and that's pretty much the main difference between that level 4 and the 5. It's just confidence for the concentration of storms. You can expect even more impacts in that purple area is what we're anticipating. But just like Elise was saying a moment ago, if you're in that red area, still know that you could see the same types of weather. It's just possible that it could be more spread out. And that's all that is. The difference between 4 and 5 is pretty much the confidence of how many storms within that area. But the entire area could see some intense thunderstorms, some strong, severe storms, possibly even large tornadoes anticipated for tomorrow. So everyone needs to pay attention to this.
Absolutely.
So we see the Storm Prediction Center, that is the strongest messaging, as we mentioned, that's 5 out of 5. So that's pretty much as likely as it could be to see some severe weather is what we are anticipating for parts of tomorrow, midday and early afternoon.
We also have a risk for you tonight. So starting here shortly, there's going to be a chance at a few scattered severe storms. That includes just about everybody under that level 3 out of 5 risk. We've been under that for a few days as well. Now, the risks are the same, quite frankly, for Friday and for Saturday, but they're not going to be as widespread. And there's a chance that some of you, or even quite a few of you, miss out on even rain for our Friday night. But we're watching an increase in supercell potential in energy as a whole. And this shows you an index. It essentially just a bunch of data put together. Something that we don't typically see here in central Mississippi, even with our severe weather events that we predict for you on a typical spring day, or typical spring week. This is really a high-end event. There's been a lot of confidence in it for, quite frankly, a long time, which just makes it a little bit unusual. So we'll see an increase in that energy for tonight. It does kind of go down a little bit before we head out the door early on Saturday morning. Now, I say before you head out the door, I wouldn't recommend heading out the door to go anywhere on Saturday if you can help it. But if you do have to go somewhere, know where your safe place is going to be. That energy surges back up. Starting around lunchtime through 5 p.m. is going to be when we expect to see multiple potentially strong long track tornadoes. And again, damaging wind gusts and large hail as well. That energy does die down very quickly, though, as we head into our Saturday evening and night. So we've got a look here. This is what things could look like tonight. Keep in mind, this is just one model, and take it with a grain of salt. Even if you see yourself getting some stormy weather tonight on this map, that doesn't necessarily mean that you see it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the storms will be severe. There's just good potential for them to.
Right. That's definitely something to keep in mind with these models, that they're indications, and we are getting pretty close to time, but the exact location is not anything that you should get attached to several hours out. Just to know that this is the potential. These are the kinds of storms that the atmosphere could try to produce tonight. But just like we're seeing here, that the storm south of Rankin, kind of north of Simpson County, that's not exactly where it's going to be. Any one of us in the area could see that type of storm, especially kind of further north where we had that enhanced risk. But
yeah, so somewhere between 4 p.m. and 2 a.m. is the larger window. By this model, I would say somewhere between 6 p.m., maybe not, maybe 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. is going to be our better window. And then we do still expect a lull overnight. So that is some good news for you. You can take a break. You can just sleep, hopefully. I know lots of people here have storm anxiety.
Yes. And definitely charge those devices as well, because we could potentially see power outages. So when we have that lull, definitely recharge yourself, get some sleep, and then be sure that you have all your phone, your iPad, or whatever you use on the charger, and your, what are they called? Reusable chargers? Portable charger.
Yes.
That's it. Your portable charger. You want to have those too.
Yeah. And while this is going to be a daytime event, since we do expect power outages, of course, when we have severe weather, go ahead and, if you have rechargeable flashlights, charge those up as well, or just have batteries ready for flashlights, because we do expect power outages. They're not going to be able to get to all of them on Saturday evening when the storms clear. So there's a chance that some of you will go without power for a few days. The good news is the weather's not going to be anything extreme behind this event as far as temperatures are concerned. It'll be a little bit chilly Sunday night, but afternoons are not going to be overly hot. Overnight's not going to be overly cold. So that's kind of a silver lining even when you do have to expect power outages. But here's what our Saturday could look like. So again, Anae mentioned multiple ways to receive warnings. Go ahead and have those devices charged up, because starting at 6 a.m., stormy weather moves back in. And that coverage is going to expand through the mid to late morning hours. There may be a lull somewhere between 10 a.m. and noon, but the coverage just goes right back up after that. And these storms, especially between noon and 5 p.m., are what we expect to see essentially the worst of the weather in.
Right. And then things clearing out quickly by Saturday night, as we saw on that storm energy map. So pretty much just until around sunset tomorrow is when we have a heightened risk for severe weather across the area. And then the back half of the weekend is going to be more calm.
Absolutely. More favorable for sure. Weather that we would like to see. Here's what it looks like right now. We've got breaks in the clouds. We've got gusty winds. It's 244 and temperatures are sitting in the low 80s pretty much across the area. A few of our sensors are out, it looks like, but 81 in Butte, it's 80 here in Jackson, and already 82 in Monticello. We are expecting mid 80s for your highs. Check out our wind gusts that we're already seeing, though. Up to 38 miles an hour in Brandon, 34 here in Jackson, 33 in Vicksburg, 25 miles an hour in Woodville. These winds are going to come and go, but gusty winds like this can already cause some damage. They can cause power outages, trees down on power lines and stuff like that. We saw that last week, remember? So even ahead of storms, some of you could end up without power.
Yeah, there were already some branches in the road. I was driving down Natchez Trace today on my way here to the station, and there were already tree branches flying and hitting cars. So that's another thing that you want to look out for with the wind, even outside of the storms that could be tornadic.
Yeah, and you guys, I might even say try to avoid the Natchez Trace today and definitely tomorrow in this stormy weather. They have not gotten out there and gotten to all of the trees just yet that are dead from the droughts that we've seen in the most recent years. So there are lots of trees that are ready to come down there. That's the case across all of central Mississippi, but some places have done a better job of clearing those a little bit ahead of time. So I would maybe try to just avoid getting on the trace with these gusty winds. Warm and windy for the rest of our afternoon. Then into the evening, pop-up severe storms, 4 p.m. to midnight. That's the window. It is a first alert weather day. Tomorrow, first alert weather day. Widespread severe storms expected from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we do have questions. We will answer some questions here. That's part of why we like to do these live updates with you, because we can read your questions and we can ask them. Jeff Hubbard says, could Friday night storms cool things down and lessen things Saturday? It's really not likely with this event. We're going to have so much energy in the atmosphere that until we can have something which is that cold front tomorrow evening, come through and totally clear it out, the storms are not really going to eat up the energy to keep us from seeing a severe weather outbreak tomorrow. So while it may bring the energy down a little bit for the overnight, that's our lull. It just builds back in before the morning.
We're continuing to see the air flowing in from the Gulf. It's going to continue that stream throughout the night. So whatever energy we do use, it'll just replenish, just like Elise was saying.
Yeah. All right. That was my question as well, says Kayla.
What's the best case scenario? Is there even a best case scenario for this?
What do you think?
Well, I haven't seen a single model that shows the cap remaining. A lot of times in severe weather scenarios, we'll have an inversion and the storms can't reach through, but pretty much every model that we've seen for the past days, even, it looks like we're going to get some severe weather. The instability is here. The warm air, the moisture, it's here. And it seems like the best case scenario is that you're in an area that doesn't happen to be
because
passing through the storms.
Not every single person is going to see a tornado tomorrow. There will be multiple, and some of them will be strong, some of them will be long tracked. But the best thing that you can do to create a best case scenario for yourself is have a severe weather plan. Execute it calmly. So remember, don't be scared, be prepared. You still have the rest of this afternoon to prepare for these storms, to get things charged up, to have batteries, to have some extra water in your safe place, to know where your safe place is. If you have plans tomorrow that you have not canceled, or that you cannot cancel, maybe you have to go into work, especially, healthcare professionals and emergency responders, just know where your safe place is going to be anywhere that you are going to be. And that's going to create a best case scenario for you. I didn't put it in here, but I will pull it up.
The safe place.
Safe places as a whole for sure, and mobile home safety. We have a lot of people in Mississippi and in the Southeast that live in mobile homes. They're great homes in a general sense, but if you live in a mobile home, in an RV, in
manufactured
home, you really want to try to find a better, more well-built structure to be at tomorrow. Something
more anchored to the ground, something a little more permanent. You don't want anything movable, because that'll just make it easier for the wind to kind of get underneath there, topple over potentially any structure. So just something that's a permanent, kind of anchored into the ground.
Absolutely. See if you can go to a friend's house, call your church and ask if you can hang out there for the day tomorrow. We have storm shelters across central Mississippi, many counties. Not every county has one, unfortunately, but this is, an early look. So you know that you can go ahead and get to somewhere tonight or early tomorrow. They're going to have those storm shelters open where they do have them for sure all day tomorrow for you to be at. So we just want you to go ahead and have a plan in place. Again, that's how we're going to create a best case scenario for this event.
Yeah. And now is a great time to go ahead and be figuring out if there are those public shelters in your county, see who you need to call, just make that plan right now. Just like we were saying earlier, to know exactly what you're going to do. That's the best case scenario, is that you are ready for whatever comes, if anything comes in your area. Just know exactly what to do. And we have time. That's a good thing.
Yeah, because you guys, we're not trying to scare you. We're trying to have you informed and prepared so that you don't have to be scared. So any other questions? We're getting a lot of prayers here. I am with you. I've been praying about it this week. I will tell you. We'll continue to do that. Not much chance for this to calm down any. It is essentially a sure thing. We are expecting a severe weather outbreak, not just in central Mississippi. Now, this risk does expand into East Mississippi and into West Alabama and even Central Alabama up through Birmingham. So we're going to be kind of at the beginning of the event. The best case scenario for us, I guess, is that because the storms are going to be starting here, the best case scenario would be that they move on to the east quickly. But in any event, there will be widespread severe weather across the Southeast as we head into tomorrow.
Right. And mentioning how widespread this area is, it came back to my mind, traveling. A lot of people are doing that. I know a lot of people had spring break. If you know people that are at maybe Ole Miss or Mississippi State, any of the colleges here, they might be flying back in from wherever
Mhm.
they went. So if you have loved ones that were out traveling, be sure that they know about this and know that if they're flying into Birmingham, even maybe if they're not flying into Jackson, they're under that same risk.
Mhm.
It's a pretty wide area that has.
And also be prepared for the headache of lots of canceled flights
Mhm.
tomorrow. You may, if you're a parent that's going to be waiting to pick up your child from the airport tomorrow, it may be late tomorrow night before they can get flights back on track, because I do expect to see lots of flights canceled between tonight's weather and tomorrow's weather.
Yeah. And this extends down to Hattiesburg as well.
Mhm.
Should mention that the southern miss is down there as well. So any road trip people potentially have, be sure that they are aware of not only the risk tonight, but especially into tomorrow afternoon, that they want to be weather aware for sure, and preferably try to stay out of the area. Definitely don't be out on the roadways throughout the day tomorrow with these risks.
Yeah. So Anae has to go. She's going to be on WLBT Studio 3 coming up in 9 minutes. So sorry, Anae. This was running a little bit long. I'll be on at 4, and our chief meteorologist, Dave Roberts, will have more updates for you at 5 and at 6 on WLBT News. We're going to leave this up for you. Of course, you can always start it back over and rewatch it, but we'll be back with more updates for you. And Anae is going to have a video up on our First Alert weather app. If you don't have it, the QR code is right here above us. You can use that. It is free.
Yeah.
And even if you lose power, you can still get live updates from us if we are in any kind of severe weather coverage, so that you know what to do. Do keep in mind, if you're watching via live coverage, live streaming on any kind of device, be it Facebook Live or on Roku TV or anything like that, or even on our app or website, there is going to be a little bit of a delay. So add some time. If you are under a warning and we're telling you need to get to your safe place, or you have a few minutes, you may not have as many minutes by the time that you're seeing it. So just something to keep in mind. That doesn't just go for us, that goes for any kind of weather coverage you may be watching tomorrow, that there's going to be a little bit of a delay. So everybody stay safe, and we'll be back here at 6:30 with another one of these updates. Lots of other ways for you to get information from our First Alert forecast.